Hi, I'm Jennifer from Shabby Fabrics. I have a fun project for you today. It's so quick and so easy and so practical. Look at this adorable bag made out of just 2 fat quarters. Now I can think of 1,000 things to use this for. When I'm at the beach and I want to have my keys and my phone immediately accessible and not at the bottom of my bag, this is perfect. Or maybe when I'm traveling to Quilt Market or wherever, I can put things that I just, makeup bag, whatever. So lots and lots of uses for it. Now I wanted to introduce you to these cute bags that we have designed here at Shabby Fabrics. It's called the Trendy Triangle Tote. That's hard to say that fast, Trendy Triangle Tote. Comes in 3 colors. Purple, we have aqua, and orange is so popular right now. Those are available as kits. Now we made our bags coordinate with the larger bags, so when we go to the beach, like I said, your sunblock and your water isn't potentially leaking and damaging your cell phone or whatnot. So let's get started. It is so simple and so easy, and it takes almost no fabric. 2 fat quarters, and even if you don't have fat quarters, if you have a 1/4 yard even of 2 fabrics, that would be more than enough fabric to do actually probably 2 bags. So let's look at this here. We have the main fabric, which will be on your outside. You'll need 2 pieces that are 8 by 10. Your lining will also be 8 by 10. We chose a heavyweight fusible interfacing for the just to make it, that's what gives it that firmness. So it's not all limp, and it has a little bit more body, so it's just, plus it looks great. It travels better if it's got that interfacing in it. So just a heavier weight interfacing. You'll also need a zipper, a 14-inch or longer zipper. And for the little tabs on the end, you want 2 by 3-inch tabs. So let's get started. We went ahead in the beginning and we cut out that interfacing that I mentioned, and we just ironed it to the back of the main fabric. We did that for both pieces. So let's go ahead and grab a lining piece, and we'll grab our outer piece, and we'll grab our zipper. Now, how you lay this down, of course, is key. So start with your lining fabric, right side up. You'll start with your zipper. Now you've got the right side of the zipper with the actual pull and the wrong side. We want this right side up, and you're going to be running the zipper right along that top line. In fact, if I line that up with the lines on my ruler or on my mat, it just kind of helps me keep it all straight. So we're going to put that zipper right along there, and notice how my zipper is definitely longer than my pieces, and that's important because we'll be cutting that off later. And then the top will be right side down, and of course you want to line this up one right on top of another, and you'll just pin. Now when you put your pin in, you want to go right through the top, and you're going to rock past where that zipper is, of course, and you'll continue to pin. Now we've done this with both a zipper foot and a regular presser foot, and we were successful both ways. So if you have a zipper foot, I do recommend that. But if you don't have a zipper foot, again, we used a regular presser foot and we didn't have any problem at all. So don't feel like you have to run out and buy a new presser foot if you don't have the zipper. I'll be using the zipper foot today. First thing we'll do once we get this pin is we're going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew right along, of course, just along that zipper. And I like a little bit more of the pink showing on my bag. Let me show you that here. Rather than sewing right exactly along the zipper kind of track, we went a little bit of a distance away. Why I like doing that is A, the zipper's cute. I like that pink showing through, and it keeps my fabric away from my zipper. I don't know if you've ever had a piece of clothing where the fabric is like right up next to the zipper, and when you go to unzip, it jams. If you keep a little bit more of a distance away from the zipper, that helps eliminate the possibility of that happening. So we're going to sew a little bit of a distance away rather than right bumped up exactly against, because I don't want to catch that fabric and jam, because I'm going to be in and out of this bag a lot. So we'll take this over to the sewing machine, and let's just get that started. And you're going to have a bag put together in absolutely no time. And this is great for gift giving too. What woman doesn't like to have a few extra bags for a variety of reasons? So with the zipper foot, it just seems like, I think with most zipper feet, they're about they give you a little bit more than a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And that seemed to be, rather than us trying to bump up against the zipper, I just had my zipper foot ride right along the edge of that interfacing. Okay, so let me show you now what this looks like. We'll put that aside for now. And push that over there. So when you open this up, you can see how this is now encased, and I'm seeing that pink. And that's what I was hoping for. I wanted to see the pink. It keeps the fabric away from the zipper to reduce the chance of jamming. So what we'll do now is when you flip this over, you're going to want to line up the lining with the outer portion again, and go ahead and take this now to your pressing mat, and we want to press that. There we go. So that's just kind of, because you can see how the fabric, it wants to be here. You have to very deliberately kind of pull it away and give it a good press. So I'm going to go ahead and continue pressing. When I come back, we're going to go ahead and put the fabric on the other side of the zipper. Now that I have that turned and pressed, now let's sew the other half of the bag to the zipper. So just like before, we'll start with the lining, right side up. Make sure when you put the bag over top of that, the first part of the bag, that it's lined up, stacked one right on top of itself there, and you don't see this fabric sticking out left or right, and that makes sense, that it just needs to be stacked one on top of the other. And then we'll put the outer portion of the bag right side together, pin just like we previously did with the zipper foot. You'll sew along, turn and press. When I come back, I'll take you to the next step. Now that I have the second half of the bag assembled to the zipper, I'm going to show you the next step. Now I've done one ahead of time, so it might be easier to actually see them side by side. Right along the fabric that parallels the zipper, we did a top stitch. Now you'll definitely want to change your presser foot at this time to a standard presser foot that can also do a zigzag. So start off with a straight stitch, and we just sewed right along the zipper track, and it just gives it such a nice tailored look. So that's kind of more for style points than anything else. It doesn't really have a lot of function other than, I guess it does to a certain degree, in that it kind of just holds everything there, because the fabric right now isn't really together. You've got this half and this half, but they're not a unit yet. So it does kind of begin to establish that kind of sandwich, that there's all of that is kind of tucked in. The next step, however, is not optional. Now looking at, if you've not used zippers before, you need to come across this portion of the zipper, and you can even do it over here as well, that you actually do a zigzag here so that the zipper doesn't just go off the bag. It needs to have an ending. So how we went about doing this is, the first thing I want to do is actually open the zipper to a certain amount. That's because the bag will actually be pulled through this opening. So this is an important step to do. Now, when you take this to the sewing machine, I found that the lining and the outside tended to shift. So I do recommend going ahead and putting in some pins just so that this doesn't get a little cattywampus with you when you're sewing this down. So you'd pin all the way around, you just keep pinning. I'm going to try to make this so that you see it from the exact same angle that I am, so it's easier for you to understand this. Let's actually turn it this direction. Okay, notice the zipper is moving to the right, zipper's moving to the right. You can start here with a zigzag coming all the way around here, all the way around here, go across the zipper region. So when you get to this portion, what I did was I just kind of held it closed by hand, and I zigzagged right across that region all the way back. And you can cross this. There's nothing wrong with doing that. It's not necessary. This on this side is necessary. You must do that. But here is not necessarily important to do that. The reason we did the zigzag is the inside of the bag. I want to show it to you. You see that right there? That seam is in there. If you do the zigzag, it just helps reduce fraying because you will be in and out of that bag. So that's the only reason we actually did the zigzag around this portion. So because we have the example here, let's just keep moving along. So you understand, again, just to recap, decorative stitch, yes, that's kind of bonus points. Zigzag, especially across this portion, not an option. Make sure you open your zipper a good amount. Zigzag here. Kind of close that opening. Keep going, zigzag, and stop. Let's go to the next step. Now that you've gone ahead and you've secured that zipper closed, and this will be secured a little bit later on, we're going to go ahead and we're going to trim that off. Now, I don't want to use my rotary cutter for that because, you know, that's a good way to nick your blade in no time. So I'm just going to get in there with a regular pair of scissors. I don't recommend your favorite sewing scissors. Again, going across zippers and whatnot doesn't do a thing for the keeping your blades sharp. There we go. So, all right, next stage, tabs. These are the cute little pull things on the other side, of the zipper. You'll take your tab, both of them. You'll fold the long side in 1/4 inch and press, and you'll repeat that for the other side. And then you'll fold that in half. And just like we did here, I like doing that 1/8 inch stitch just inside here and just inside here. It just seems to kind of hold it all together. Is it absolutely necessary? At least on the one side, yes, because you want that closed. But on the other side, no. But still, just for symmetry, I like doing that. And that's kind of a preference thing. I've done those ahead of time just to save us a little bit of time. Now you'll fold those in half, and you're going to go ahead and you'll butt that right up against that edge. And I'm just bracketing where that's sitting. There, in between. See how it's just kind of centered over the zipper. I'll do the same on this side. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew here, and I'm going to sew here. When I come back, we'll go to the next step. Now that the tabs are sewn on, you'll bring the outside of the bag together, and we're just going to sew 1/4 inch. I'll just put in a couple pins, and let's do this together. It's a quick step, and then we'll just keep going. The bag is very close, getting much closer to being done now. So let's go ahead, and I'm just doing a standard straight stitch, 1/4 inch. If you previously zigzagged, make sure you're not in the zigzag anymore. I forget that sometimes. Now let's take that to that sewing, or the pressing mat, and let's press that open. It's a pretty bulky seam, so that's why I like to press open. Anytime there's a lot of bulk, you should definitely consider pressing seam open. And in that case, you might want to shorten your stitch length just a little bit, because like with quilting, seams get pressed to one side or the other. It's just kind of a locking thing. It works great, especially when one row is pressed to one side and the next row is pressed to the other, because then you get what's called interlocking seams. But whenever I do press seams open, I like to shorten that stitch length just a little more stitches per inch. So there's just a little bit more integrity in the bag, especially if it's something that will be used a lot. Now that seam is pressed open. Now down below I can see my zipper. What I'm trying to do right now is I just want you to see that. So there's our zipper pull, which is centered over the zipper. So I want to center that over basically that zipper pull, and we're going to go ahead and pin that. And we'll repeat the same for the other side, of course. You know, when I first started off crafting and quilting, I really was not a pinner. I didn't want to waste the time. Couldn't be bothered, and I just went for it. Well, you know what I ended up doing? I ended up spending a lot of time seam ripping. just get over it. Just pin. It is so worth it because seam ripping is a complete drag. Nobody enjoys doing that. Same thing on this side. I want to center this over top of my zipper region. Now this is a lot of bulk coming in here because you're going over many layers plus that interfacing plus your zipper. So make sure you know, you're just ready. And sometimes when it's a lot of fabric, you almost have to hand crank it over those areas because your machine can kind of get bogged down. I recommend getting a certain amount of speed going with your machine. I actually want to show you that. Let's do this together so you know what I'm talking about. I know we've seen when there's so much it gets bogged down, but let's sew this together. I'll come over here so you can see this better. And I'm going to keep a fairly good pace going so that it hopefully doesn't get bogged down at that center portion, but if it does, I'll just hand crank it. So let's do this together. There's that tough part, but notice how I kind of just kept going. That seems to kind of help it not get bogged down. Now I'll repeat that for the other side. Let's just do that together so we can just keep things going here. You can see that again. Oop. See, that one got a little bit bogged down. So I'm just going to baby it through that area. I don't want to break my needle or my thread. There we go. Good, I got to show you an example of both. So when it kind of does get bogged down, or what happened there was that flap started to turn over. And it's like, well, you have to stop. So, but that's crafting and quilting. That's just how it works. Okay. So now, and we're so close to having this bag done, I'm excited. Okay, now that our bag is like this, we will go ahead and prepare the corners, which creates this nice little box section. So what we'll do now with our corners, actually I remember this now, this is important because let me show you why. I want to what's called box my corners. Now if you don't clip your corners, you see how I can't really press that seam open. Watch this though. In fact, I'll use my rotary cutter for that. Be careful you don't cut through what you just sewed. I'm just, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, maybe even closer than that. By doing that, now when I try to box my corner, do you see how the seam will lie open? So that's why that's an important step. And I'm even going to press that a little bit just so that I can get a better visual. So what am I meaning by box the corner? Well, just like I did, I made a clip. Now I want you to see this. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to try to get this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. This is where one of those little Omni Grip rulers is absolutely essential. Just get one in your sewing room. If you don't have one, get one. You need it. What you're looking for is actually two measurements. I'm looking for 1.5 inches, which is about right there, in this distance, and then left to right I'm looking for 3 inches. When you find that intersection, you are at the right place, about like that. Yes, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to draw a line. Now you're going to do the same step for all corners. You can either draw one and try to do them all and then take it to the sewing machine, or one at a time. Personally, I think it's easier to do one at a time, come back, do the other corner, draw the line, sew. So I want to do this with you. We'll do the one side together and then you do the other 3 on your own. So I put a pin there because I just don't want it to move. I'm going to do a straight stitch here on the sewing machine. And then I'll show you what we do with that corner. make sure when you come to that seam allowance, it's pressed open. And I'm just using my fingers here to hold that open. So when my presser foot comes up, it doesn't move that flap over like it wants to. Now what I'll do is I'll come to my mat, and you can even just cut a visual quarter, or if you're like, I'm not comfortable with that, you can go ahead and put your ruler here. It's a little bit awkward because there is a lot of bulk, but if you want something to cut, push up against, by all means use the ruler. So see how that creates, that's what's creating this corner. You're going to repeat that for this corner and this one and this one. When I come back, then literally all you have to do then is turn the bag right side out. So I've boxed all 4 corners. I wanted you to see what that would look like prior to turning. And then my absolute favorite part, probably your favorite part too, is just turning it right side out and seeing what your finished project looks like. And you know what, when I made the first one, I was like, I cannot wait to make this again for every person. I know they're going to be getting these for Christmas this year. So isn't this so cute, so practical? And just turn it right side out. Kind of with your fingers, you can kind of press out where those little box corners are. Zip it closed and you're ready to go. I hope you enjoyed this fun, practical DIY video from Shabby Fabrics.